I'm sure most of you listen to music, and if you are anything like me, it's part of your everyday life, and there's not a day that goes by that you don't listen to it. One of the most popular and best-known decades for music is the 1980s. Imagine a time when music meant everything to people, so much so that it even reflected all of the different lifestyles of that time period. It was a period during time that new and old music was able to flourish together. The 1980s was jam-packed with popular and diverse songs, music, and artists throughout its entirety. There were many popular music genres in the 1980s. Genres such as hip-hop, rap, hair metal, pop, and new wave were all prominent in the 1980s. Hip-hop was a cultural movement that attained widespread popularity. It was known as the backing music for rap, the musical style incorporating rhythmic and rhyming speech that became the movement's most lasting and influential art form. Another genre called glam metal became very popular during this time. It was influenced by glam rock from the late 70s and early 80s, inspiring the over-the-top looks that hair bands adopted, including big hair and makeup. At the height of its popularity in the 80s, hair bands had huge radio and MTV hits and became one of the most popular genres in all of music. Speaking of popular genres, pop genre is generally understood to be commercially recorded music, with the result that its style changes significantly depending on time and place. In the 1980s, pop music included elements of rock, hip-hop, reggae, R&B, and various other styles. Perhaps the most recognizable 80s music genre in terms of both name and sound was new wave. It helped generate many of the decade's most memorable style elements. While genres were very important and popular in the 1980s, you can't have the music without the artists who make it all possible. Some of the most popular artists in the 1980s included Michael Jackson, Prince, and Stevie Wonder. In the 1980s, more specifically 1983, Michael Jackson's omnipresence on the pop charts was revolutionary. He earned pop icon status by creating music that transcended genres. He topped the charts with the best-selling album of all time and my personal favorite, Thriller. Another artist named Prince was well known in the 1980s, a decade that came to define him as an artist, and as who he was as an artist. His legacy will forever live on with his music, his funky fusion of soul, rock, punk, jazz, and even metal at times. Prince reached superstardom with his 1984 album Purple Rain, which sold more than 13 million copies in the United States. Another popular artist was Stevie Wonder, an artist who mastered a distinctive fusion of pop and soul, which led to 19 United States hits during the 1980s. And some of these amazing genres and artists led to some of the most popular and best-selling albums of all time. In June of 1980, a band called AC/DC released an album that many people know and love called Back in Black, a groundbreaking album that sold over 50 million copies. And another album that many people know and love is Michael Jackson's Thriller, and that sold more than 110 million copies, which made it the greatest selling album of all time. Imagine all of these different albums and songs and artists of the 1980s and how much work and effort they put into their music and how much diversity and everything they put into it, like their sexuality and everything they had to bring to the table. They worked hard in the 1980s for this music, and this music has influenced music today. It influenced people back then. It influences lifestyles. People live by this music, and the music of the 1980s will never be forgotten for that reason.